Hi everyone and welcome to another hashtag Ask Jim, and we're up to episode 28. We want to get to 50 so we can keep it going. I'll just run through a few things before I introduce my guest over here, and I'll just tell you what's been happening. So today we've done a day in the life with Jim. So from 7 a.m. we rocked up to your house, you opened the door dressing like it was full on from when you woke up to where we are now. So it's been a big day.
I was still in bed. You're supposed to come at 7:15, but you turned up at 5 to 7.
You got to be early. Had to be early. But that's going to be great footage. So we both posted a video on Facebook then about a bit of a sneak peek behind the scenes when you're doing a podcast today. You played squash. We filmed the whole squash game. Yeah. Some nice action shots.
Fed the chickens, took my kids to school. All the dull and boring parts of my life, it's all fully displayed.
And plus about how you worked as well. So we had you in your home office and you talked a bit about how you do things.
Going through emails and how I do with emails, yeah.
It's going to be great content. So I reckon it was probably 5 hours at least of content. So we're going to stage that, do premieres on Facebook. That's going to be over the coming month. That's going to be really good. So big thanks to Jake and Ben who have been doing that. As always, we have the Jim's Group podcast, which is the Jim's Cast, plus our social accounts, which is at Jim's Group on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Jim Penman as well. The Jim Penman. We have all that sort of stuff. We're running a competition on Instagram at the moment, and this thing here is really well designed. There's 5 of them going. These nice flappy hats, good Sun Smart ones. 5 of these, and I think we've gained around 700 followers in like a week when running the competition. So make sure you head to Jim's Group page, give us a follow, like the post, and you'll be in the draw to win 5 of these. Now, as always, we have books here. So we give these away every week, Rocky. Yep. I was just telling you before.
Yep.
So best question or comment left on the feed, we will then pick one at the end and you'll get a signed book. There's 3 of these. The 3 winners last week, we're about to get your books out to you tomorrow. I haven't forgotten. This one, as always, you can download for free as an audio book via jims.net. So there's a Meet Jim tab there. That one for free. Actually, that one's downloadable as well via jims.net. And the one on that one there, the newer one, you do have to pay for that. And that's via Audible and all that sort of stuff. But head to jims.net, Meet Jim. You can find all of them. Now, we've got a few people tuning in already, which is great. Hello to Rosie and Francesca Frida, who left some questions. Wow, there's some great questions and comments coming in already. So thank you to the guys. We'll get them in a minute. Now, I want to just keep going through something that we're promoting until the cleaning next one, which is on September 25, which is the Jim's 45-day challenge with Hader. His weight loss challenge, and he's doing some posts. We posted the first start to that, so we might do a few updates. But we've had a few other franchisors reach out based on what Hader did and send us through some photos and stuff. So I'm going to be posting some other stories as well from franchisors who sort of come out of the woodwork due to what Hader sort of posted. And on the 25th of September at the Broadmeadows Gym's cleaning office, we're going to have his big reveal. So I'm looking forward to how much he's
hopefully a smaller reveal.
Well, let's see. I reckon he can lose a bit, actually.
He's actually expanded a bit since he's been with us. He was quite thin when he first came into gyms, but his prosperous life has... So we're looking to see how we can reverse some of that.
I'm looking forward to the 6-pack on the 25th of September. So the Gym's cleaning office, everyone's welcome to come. Doesn't matter if you're a cleaning franchisee as well. You can be any Gym's Group franchisor, even member of the public. The Gym's cleaning office on the 25th of September. And this weekend, you're at the Franchising Expo, which is at the Melbourne Exhibition and Conference Centre, a convention centre, and that's on the Saturday and the Sunday.
I'm giving a talk at 1 o'clock both days.
Yeah, so Saturday and Sunday, Jim at 1 o'clock on both days. It's a half an hour talk, and you're doing a book signing after that as well.
That's right, so we're giving away books. This one here.
Yep.
And anybody wants to come along, happy to sign a copy.
And Jim will also do selfies with you. So if you want a Jim selfie, please do it in hashtag Jim's Group, and we'll share it on our social media.
Strange travels of the modern world.
Okay, but really, we get down there. If you ever want to meet Jim, that's a great opportunity. Franchising Expo. We do have a post on our page, which gives you a free ticket. So if you go back through the feed, Franchising Expo, Jim's Antennas and Security, we'll have a stand there, and so will Jim's Mowing. So there's a free ticket available there when you enter the promo code SAVE based on the link. So head to the Facebook page and do all that. Now, without further ado, I'm just going to get through a few comments here now. 41 people tuned in, watching live now, which is great. So we've got Kane tuned in, Kane Thompson. Is this the guy that started Jim's Mowing? Yes, it is. Steve Wilkinson tuned in. Julie Baldridge tuned in. Hader Hussein's gone, hello, gents. I've enjoyed following Jim today. It's inspiring, yeah, because on social media, I don't know if you realised it, but on Instagram, you can post little short stories. So every time Jake was filming you, I was doing a little quick 10-second clip, and I was actually filming today. So people have been able to see the sneak peek. So thanks for that, Hader. And Kane Thompson says...
I thought this was going to be edited and all the bad stuff taken out and just the interesting thing. The squash shots that actually worked rather than all the ones that went into the...
I was very conscious to only post the winners. Only a little bit of the running, so don't worry. Okay. They're only little snippets I'll show at the end. So thanks for that, Hader. I'm looking forward to releasing that. Kane Thompson says, hey, Jim. So maybe I'll give a shout out to Kane. I think he's a young fella.
Yeah, Kane.
Kane Thompson.
Kane.
Oh, there you go. Denise is tuned in. Sal John's tuned in again. So maybe Sal, say hello to Sal, because Sal always watches every week.
Hi, Sal.
Hi, Sal. Eric Jurgens is tuned in. And Carrie Vanderpass is tuning in with a question. I'll get to your question in a minute. Now, without further ado, we've got 45 people tuning in. Just a reminder, we cross-post. So if you're watching on the Handyman page, Mowing Cleaning, it's great that you're interacting, but leave it on the Gyms Group 1 if you want to be acknowledged in real time, or we can try and get that after the show. All right. Now, Rocky, Aloi is our Gyms Handyman Melbourne. You're a franchisee and a franchisor.
Correct.
So maybe let's talk about your partner's actually a call centre manager. And
yes, she is. Yes.
So maybe do you want to talk about why did it take you so long to quit your job and come into gyms?
No, really good question. The benefits, my wife is one of the managers in the call centre. Yeah, you're rightly so there. And she will always tell you that. It's probably a good way to work in having an outside view of what's going on within the gyms group to make a really good judgment call of whether it's the right choice for you. We get a lot of inquiries, as you would with people wanting to join any of the divisions here, obviously Handyman. The best thing you got to make sure it's the right fit for the person before you even go into the Handyman or Mowing or whatever it might be. So for me, with having a connection here in the gyms group, with my wife being in the call centre, I could see exactly how the business operated to a certain degree.
What appealed to you about it?
The size, the scope of it's a juggernaut. The gyms group. It's growing and growing and growing, and the power of the brand is one of the most important things for me, Jim. When you've got a trusted brand like Gyms, and it's so big now that in itself is priceless, and then you can build from that. So in seeing, speaking to my wife a lot, obviously, working on seeing how many, calls coming in, there's unserviced work, getting a real understanding of how much work there is and how much the growth potential, it's a no-brainer. So
I would have told you a lot of unserviced work in Handyman.
Yeah, definitely. That did play a big key in me coming on board. But I inquired years ago in fencing division, and at the time I was looking seriously into that. But I waited my time. It wasn't the right time for me, and that's what I keep saying. I want to make sure that people understand if you're not 100% committed in running a business before you worry about everything else, then hold off until it's the right time, because that's the only time you're going to be successful, when you're 100% behind it. So that was the big thing. I could see what was going on, and when the time was right, left my other job, came on board, and haven't looked back since.
Now, did you start as a franchisee, or did you go straight to being a franchisor?
I started as a franchisor, but soon started on the tools as well. Yep. So now I work both. So
you're out doing jobs as well with your bikes. Obviously, best of both worlds. You're a franchisee and a franchisor.
Yes, so I can see it both sides. I can see what the franchisees go through on a day-to-day basis. And I can also work as the franchisor as well. So following up any concerns or issues that there might be with customers or with franchisees in general. So it's a good role.
Now I had a cheeky thing from someone I asked. They wanted me to ask you about your deck at home. You obviously can build a lot of decks for other people, but apparently your deck at home's unfinished still.
No, it's finished.
It's finished?
Yeah,
apparently there's a little bit to go, I heard.
Yeah, no. I think that whoever's told you that, my wife is wrong. No, the deck's fully finished. It's fantastic. And okay. I'll post your photos if you like.
All right, we'll have to do that. Just to prove it wrong. They've stitched me up with that information.
They have. No, they have. Yep.
Bad information.
Yep.
So with you, you've done it in a way, so how many, sorry, you probably answered this, but how many years was it before you knew about it, before you actually did something?
So it was a good 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, okay. So in that 4-year period of really focusing on which division I wanted to focus and join.
So you've done your due diligence more than...
Absolutely did. I did all my research.
Yeah.
The first thing was fencing, because I'm a fencer by trade. I do a lot of fencing. But then when Handyman jumped on board, it was rebranded. It used to be called, going back, it was Handyman, then it was Building and Maintenance, which we still see. I've got 5 franchisees currently in my region that still are Building and Maintenance branded, but then we rebranded to Handyman, and when I saw that rebranding come across, that was when I thought, no, now it's going to, people can associate Handyman more than Building and Maintenance. So that's when I thought this is the time to join.
Yeah.
Spot was available there was a vacancy there, so I went ahead, and I haven't looked back since. It's got so much potential to grow more, and I think one of the big things with Handyman is the perception that Handyman are only minor works. And I'd love any opportunity I get to speak to people and try and re-educate them to say the term Handyman is not just fixing a doorknob or fixing a window or something like that.
So we had a question here which relates directly to this from Carrie Vanderpass has gone, do you do bigger jobs or is it just little handyman jobs?
No, absolutely not. So correct, we do everything. We do the minor work, okay?
Give me an example. What's the big job you've done lately?
Bathroom renovations, complete from, myself personally was a full bathroom renovation. I've got licensed builders in my region who do full knockdown rebuilds. They're licensed with the VBA. They are licensed builders to do that work. So from the smallest job that we've got, we do go out and put a door, sliding door back on its tracks. The smallest job I've ever actually had was actually change a light globe. That was the smallest job I've ever had.
What's the biggest job? What was it worth?
The biggest job, all about the money, Jim. Yeah,
money is important.
No, the biggest job that I had was personally was about $11,000.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
And what's the lead fee?
That was a referral.
That was a referral.
Yeah.
So no lead fee.
But the biggest jobs that one of my builders, Steve, who's a franchisee, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's licensed to do that type of work. He's got all the insurances to allow him to do that type of work. So, that's the thing. We do everything. If we've got franchisees that don't specialise in certain jobs, like bathroom renovations, but we've got other franchisees in our group that do. So we'll pass it on. So to answer your question, yes, we do everything from the small jobs right through to the bigger work. Outdoor entertaining, if you want to get it done, now's the time to get it, because our guys are getting fairly booked up now for that type of work leading into the summer period. And last year we had a lot of customers miss out on their deckings and their pergolas because there was not enough franchisees out there to build them. So
you better work on that one this year.
I think we had 21 in December go. So that was a lot of work that.
What hourly rate do you work on when you're actually working for yourself, working your own job?
Hourly rates are one of those things which is.
And when you're quoting a job,
yes.
What are you figuring your hourly rate should be?
Personally, I tell guys to look at the range of between the $55 and $95 range. It's up to the individual franchisee what they charge. It also depends on the type of job and the size of the work. We don't charge a minimum 3 hours. We don't do that. We just charge every job on its merit. I always tell the guys not to really go down the path of hourly rate in the sense of...
not directly.
Yeah.
That's a very bad idea.
Because, some people look at it and if you do a job quicker, then they think, oh, geez, you've charged me too much. But the fact is that in between the $55 to $95 mark per hour is what I would think that any handyman or any type of home maintenance person should be looking at.
Yeah, and everyone's different. We had Dan Cahill last week, which is obviously his rate was higher than that, which he told us. But as you said, it's different up to the person. Yeah. Now, out of interest, because I know you guys come here to do a course.
Yes.
With the association. What's the percentage of builders then people who are just passionate about using their hands in the Jim's Handyman division? It's not all builders, is it?
No, they're not all builders. We do have people that have come from different jobs. One of our really good franchisees in Ringwood. Tim. Yep. Tim is from an IT background, extremely good tradesman. We've got one of our other tradesmen in Doncaster. He's got a history in textiles and he's now a qualified painter and decorator and things like that and does bathrooms. So we do have a whole range of people. The purpose is that we want to keep up and make sure that all of our franchisees have the skills and the qualifications if they want it to make this into a really good career and business, because it is your business. So through our, our business relationship with HIA, the Housing Industry Association, we get all of our guys to come through, and women, and any women out there, please let us know. And handy women as well. Yeah. They'll do the certificate for in building and construction, 6 months course. They'll do it 2 nights a week here at the Jim's Group. So all of the participants in the course are all Jim's franchisees and franchisors. We've got members from all 4 regions, so north, south, east and west, all in the Jim's Group every Tuesday and Thursday night here. And our regional franchisees, I know, are doing it separately closer to their residents. So we're giving everyone the opportunity to get a qualification. And we can then tell our customers that all of our franchisees are qualified.
That's great. So I'm just going to get through a few questions. There's a few people tuning in now, which is great, leaving comments and questions. So I'm going to run through a few shout outs here now. So Kim McGavick's tuning in again from Jim's Dog Wash in NZ. Tanya Graham from Jim's Dog Wash in NZ. So love Jim's Dog Wash. They're always tuning in. Belinda Hadley, who we met at the conference, hi team from Jim's Dog Wash in Northern Queensland. So up there, Belinda. Great posting on Instagram as well. Jim's Mowing Bay of Plenty Hawks has tuned in. Evening Lads tuning in across the ditch. So a lot of New Zealand people have tuned in, which is great for us. Graham Moore from Jim's Dog Wash Forbes. So there's a lot of dog wash tuning in. Kane Thompson's gone, I've been lawn mowing for 5 years. You've inspired me, Jim. That's nice, Kane. I'll get Shane Harnstrom's tuned in, Steve Walkham's tuned in, who are from our cleaning divisions, and Michael Hill's tuned in, Evening Lads from South Australia. And there's a few questions in here which I'm going to work in towards now, and I'll put them both to Jim and Rocky. So Scott Jurgens, this is one Jim can probably knock off pretty quickly. Scott Jurgens has gone, hey Jim, you have a lot of mowing franchises. If I was to take up one, what are the chances that there'll be enough of work to go around? Question mark. Very,
very high. Very few mowing franchisees will be short of work after the first month or two, especially going into spring. We've got a massive problem with unserviced leads in mowing. It depends on the area a bit too, of course. Some areas more than others.
So just coming after spring, it's going to be
but the great majority, something like 90% of our franchisees report good or satisfactory income, and of those that don't, it's usually more a matter of the fact that they can't get through the work for some reason.
Yeah, so it's a great question, Scott, and hopefully 131546 will come to the training and meet Jim and all sorts of stuff and unserviced lead report. So Jim's Mobile Cafe, Victoria's gone, hey guys, looking forward to being there again for the next training next week. My wife Ricky Jurgens has just joined the Jim's Dog Wash franchise and will be there for training also. She's very excited. Only problem is now instead of cooking for me, she has been cooking doggy treats and sewing up the towels. Well, that's a downside to it, but welcome aboard, Ricky. We're looking forward to it.
They make a good hot chocolate, Eric does.
He does.
Well, I enjoyed that when they came for a conference.
A lot of sugar in it. Had you buzzing around with the supplies. And
lots of cream.
A lot of energy.
Not very healthy.
So Shane,
that's delicious.
So Shane Charnstrom's gone here with the question. Jim, there is talk that the USA might go into recession in the near future. Australia often follows their trend to a degree. If Australia heads that way, would this affect our service business? Question mark. Great question.
Well, recessions are actually good for us. I mean, I not that I want us to go into recession, but the problem is at the moment we've got the demand for our services is so much beyond what we can do. So recession means that there's people out there who have got a bit of a package and they want something to do, so they buy a franchise. So in actual fact, our best years have been recession years, and it doesn't seem to affect the work very much either for some reason. We had back when the GFC hit and everybody was panicking about recession, somebody rang up and they asked me, they said, how's your work been this year compared with last year before the crisis hit? And so it was about a 10% difference. They said, 10% down. No, I said 10% up. We've actually had more leads that year than we did the previous year, quite substantially. And the more franchises we have, the more work we tend to have in general. So the divisions that got the most work are usually those with the most franchisees because the name becomes so strong.
That's a great question. And I think Sal, John had the same question here. I think recession next 5 years by stock market. Yeah, so similar thing, Sal, as Jim just said then. It actually probably does better for the business. I don't know, Rocky, what are your thoughts on that? Because there's a bit of stuff with the RBA happening as well with what they're going to do with maybe some quantitative easing or whatever and stuff with the economy. I don't know what the RBA interest rates, the cash rate's really low still. They keep getting it down.
By no means am I anyway qualified to speak about finance.
I'll put you on the spot here.
RBA.
Yeah.
The fact is, though, I think the scope, the work's always going to be there, and that it's been proven statistically to always be there. The scope of work changes. I mean, people might not go down, and from a handyman perspective, might not go and get their luxurious bathroom renovation that they want, but they've still got home maintenance to do. They've still got general work that needs to be done.
Well, often what tends to happen in a recession too, they can't afford to buy a new house, so they do fix up the old one.
Yeah.
Do what they can afford. It's remarkably... When there's a recession, there's remarkably little difference in the demand for our level of services. If you were in a big volume builder, it's a very different industry. But in terms of the regular work around the home, it makes very little difference.
Yeah.
But what does affect is the fact that we get a lot of very high quality franchisees, because people who've got great jobs and they often corporate, those kind of things, bank managers get thrown out of jobs and they come to see us. We've got work.
A lot of those middle management type from banks and financial sectors and stuff.
We had 1 year back in the 90s, in the Keating recession, where we grew by 40%. We went from 1,000 to 1,400 franchisees in a single year. I'd like to go back to that kind of growth. That'd be great.
So there's a few people tuning in now, which is great. We've got more than 50 people watching, which is awesome. So Caleb's gone, hey guys, I'm enjoying the book you folks sent me. So Caleb tunes in every week and we sent him a book, which is great, which is signed. Go back up here to a question from Dawn Shipley. So many choices. I love dogs, but not sure my car will tow the trailer. Not sure I can tow a trailer. Which franchise is the cheapest to get into? Question mark. It's a pretty...
cheapest to get into?
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing very good deals now on mowing, that's for sure, because there's so much work. And the same thing with fencing, but you do have to be trained for 8 weeks, so that costs a bit more. Actually, we're thinking of we're trying a new franchise with picking up dog poo, which actually I reckon is going to be a great one.
I remember. I didn't expect that, but we're talking about today.
Probably going to be the cheapest when it gets going, and
the logo being designed yet?
The logo will be a great logo. It'll be like the little poo emoji. It will stand out so well. Trust me, Jim. I'll tell you what. It will great get marketing. People will be taking. It'll be like the plumbing vans.
Yeah.
The big shiny plumbing vans. I'm telling you, if you've got that running around, people will be snapping that like crazy.
I was talking to a franchisee today, actually, a mowing guy who was complaining about a complaint because the client wasn't happy because he wouldn't take the dog poo. He just said to the client, "You've got to take the dog poo off the lawn before I mow it." And the client was unhappy, and he said, "Well, that's not a reasonable complaint." And I said, "Well, it is in a way, because why don't you do it? Get a spade. You don't have to pick it up with your hands. Chuck it into the bushes. You could charge a ridiculous price for that. I mean, why wouldn't you? I used to do it all the time. I would never dream of not mowing a lawn because there was dog poo on it."
And that conversation we actually had filmed today in the Day in the Life of Jim. That actually came up. We had the GoPro in the front of the car, and that was the call. And that's why it's probably maybe fresh in the mind, because it was the dog poo discussion.
Well, it's fresh in the mind. I don't know if it's a very good word to use to talk about dog poo, but anyway.
I didn't deliberately do that, but yeah, that's why it's coming.
But it's an example of an attitude that says some people think that customer service means doing what you think would be good customer service. Whereas I think customer service is doing what the customer thinks is good customer service. That's a very big difference.
Now, how did that one end, that conversation? Because we've started off a bit maybe fiery. Did it end up with him agreeing with you, or what happened in the end?
I don't know if he'd pick up dog poo now, but I hope I gave him something to think of. I mean, what I would say to her is that, why don't you just give a price on it? Okay, it's going to take you... he mentioned a dog that's all over the yard. It's a really, really messy thing. And I said, okay, let's go take you half an hour to clear out the dog poo. Why don't you charge $60 for it? You're making $120 an hour. You don't touch it. You pick it up with a spade. What's wrong with making money? You keep the client happy. You make more money for yourself. I think I wouldn't do a thing that was dangerous. You know, getting up on a roof without a harness and this kind of stuff too. We don't want our franchisees to risk their lives, but you know, just because it's a bit messy, it's a good job to do. And the more unpleasant it is in a way, the better the money. But if you go into a real pigsty of a yard, which is really, really, really bad, well, you can charge a fortune to fix that up because it's such a bad job. I used to like those kind of things.
But I think, Don, with you, if you like dogs, and you probably want to go for your passion and then try and make it work if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the dog wash stuff
could be good. I mean, with dog wash, what you can do is just try the trailer. Just get one, and they're actually made of fiberglass, so they're not that heavy. In fact, I think they're lighter than the mowing trailers, even though they're bigger.
Yes.
So it's and a lot of women have them, and they don't think they have enormous cars. So I think you might find that I'd give it a go. I also talk to people who are in the division. Any division that you're interested in, talk to the franchisees, as many as possible. Get out on the road, just give it a try. Do some research.
Yeah, it's easy to contact them, 131546, and just they'll talk to you, and they'll be really open and frank about it. You can talk to franchisees, and then they'll talk to you about it. Jim's Mobile Cafe's gone. Is Joel thinking about trying to emulate Jim's early years and growing a beard? Not at all. Just like being lazy. Eric, I was up really late last night. I've been up since 5:30 this morning at Jim's house, or had to drive here to go. So just laziness, no emulation at all. So John Williams has gone. Jim's Handyman Ballarat, best thing I have done. That's great to hear. Now, Jim, I've got a question that was left by Derek Spice. Now, you know Derek Spice.
I know
Yep.
Derek,
So
yes.
he wanted me to ask you these. He goes, here's 2 questions for Jim's to address. So this is on the event post. He's gone here. What is the roadmap for Jim's payment plan? And what's the ultimate goal? And what will be the differentiator between Z's that do and don't have JPP on board, so Jim's payment plan on board?
Well, payment plan is a great thing. It's done by Jim's Financial Services, actually. They've set it up. So you go to a job, which is a big job, and that could be even something like it could be a handyman, construction, could be a cleanup, could be anything. And you can just pay. They can just pay it off, and it's all done by a finance company. They take a certain percentage off the top. But if it's a big job, there's plenty of margin in it. You can. It's a great asset, and we recommend that all franchises get onto it, especially when you're doing major kinds of jobs. Dog wash probably not quite so likely.
Yeah, so in our actual training, what we're going to start doing is we're going to have one of the Jim's finance. We're going to have a couple of slides into quoting stuff, because we obviously teach quoting in the generic training. This is going to be part of the quoting thing as an option. Think of it like after gym, after pay. Yep. That's what I sort of think of it like. And we had Tony Gale on in a previous episode. If you go back to the live videos, Tony Gale, whose product it is and developed, he talks a bit more about it in an episode as well. But we are integrating into the training and actually are here. In regards to Z's who don't use it and don't look. It'll be something where we do put on the website and maybe have customers will like that. You know, it's so if you can have a 6. So for example, with mowing, Derek, you could say, how about prepaid or have your 10 mows for the year, or whatever the cycle is done, and have them with this thing, and you get paid up front. You don't have to worry about chasing the debt. But they'll worry about that stuff, and the client's happy because they can pay it off as a fortnightly, maybe smaller amount. And for Handyman, it's perfect actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, someone might not have 10 grand to do the thing.
Look, probably most franchises won't take it up simply because they've got so much work on. And most of our franchisees are very, very busy. Again, especially coming into the busy period of the year. But for those who want more work or want to build a major business, it's a great scheme.
Yeah, it's a really good, and they've got an app and all that sort of stuff. But if you head to Jim's Financial Services, just Google them. All the details will be there, Derek. And that's a great question. Now, Stephanie Power's gone here with a question for you, Rocky. Yeah. Hey, Rocky, I hear that your lovely wife is the main brains behind the operation. How would you respond to this? Question mark.
Hi, Stephanie. No, listen, my wife, Stephanie, is absolutely vital to running the Jim's Handyman business. I don't know what role she plays, and when I figure that out, I'll tell you. But if that's the thanks for the coffee I brought you today, Stephanie, I really appreciate the question. So we might as well just move on to that one, Joel.
I can tell you, Charlene is great. She's wonderful to deal with. They run a great business in there, and the managers are fantastic.
So I got a question here from Dawn Shipley as well. So Dawn Shipley sent us a message, said, okay, thanks. Am I too old at 60? I do have experience dog grooming, actually taught the first dog. So there's a great quote from Gary V, which is, you are only at half time, Dawn. There's a long, long way to go, I would say. So if you do have experience...
We've got franchisees, quite a few in their 60s, actually.
Absolutely.
It's
we
not,
do, don't we?
Not that uncommon at all. It might not be for something like fencing, which is very physically laborious, but something like dog washing, it's not. You have to be able to lift the dogs around and so forth, but it's not that wearing. In actual fact, even people who are, I think we've got people in their 70s and stuff, and something like even in mowing, for example, some of our guys who are in mowing actually get to the stage where the pushing the lawn around's too hard, and they go into guttering, where they can actually make more money per hour. So there's always ways of doing things that you can make good money. Plus, if you're good at what you do, then you have put workers on, and you can actually do less work yourself.
You're only halfway there, Dawn. You can go for a few more. Your Jim's 67 and he's...
I'm 67 and I am just getting going. Just starting to learn how to do this thing right.
Don't let that discourage you, early, Dawn, and chuck in an inquiry and have a chat to the franchisor.
Do not believe in getting old. Do not believe in retirement.
There we go. So another thing here, comment from Sal John's gone, who takes minor plumbing repairs such as leaking taps, toilets, etc., Jim's Handyman or plumbers? Being a licensed plumber, I've noticed people usually hire handymans as they're cheaper. Doesn't bother me as I specialise in block drains.
So this is, without sounding like I'm sitting on the fence with this, the actual service, if the handyman or building maintenance franchisee isn't licensed to complete the work, then they'll forward it onto a plumber. Doesn't mean that the customer can't call handyman and we'll get it sorted for them. We're the one-stop shop in that aspect. If there's an area that does require someone licensed, electrical is a perfect example. Our guys are definitely not electricians, but we can be that one point of call and get the electricians in. Likewise with the plumbing requirements. If it's a tap washer or something, our guys will do it, no problem.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that question, Sal. Thanks for tuning in every week. You always tune in and leave a comment, which is great. So we've got 56 people, around 60 people watching at the moment, which is great. Leave a comment or question in the live feed. As you can see, we're getting to everyone there. So if you've got something you really want to ask Jim or Rocky, it can be anything. Business, science, about the brains in the operation like Stephanie did. Leave them in there and you're a good chance to read a book. 3 of the books tonight, so make sure to leave a comment or question. So Jim's Mobile Cafe's gone, my wife Ricky just joined and she's 58. So there you go, Dawn. 2 years off. So Ricky's coming on board at that age. Now Jared Bywater's on one of the other feeds has gone, found something interesting today, screenshot and sent it to his franchise, or someone using Jim Mowing as their website header on Google as opposed to Jim's Mowing. So yeah, we had that a lot of people.
We don't own the name Jim in any way. But the logo is what counts, and without the logo, there's not much. We did have one case where somebody was putting in rainwater tanks. This was during a drought some time back, and it was Jim's rainwater tanks, and people got a bit ripped off because they thought it was us, but there was no logo, so they weren't really pretending. It was just being a bit careless about the whole thing, I think.
Yeah, I think with the IP stuff, like obviously because we've got the meme generator and stuff as well, we haven't to chase up everyone all the time. We do chase them up if they come through and they are seriously passing off. But if it's just like a little thing, sometimes we don't go, because if we did that with everyone, we would have 10 full-time staff doing that with the IP stuff. So they've got a few more questions tuning in. So Liz Ten Hoopin was from Jim's Dogwash. Hi, Jim, Joel, and Rocky from Jim's Dogwash South Australia.
Nice.
They actually had the convertible. I don't know if you saw the red convertible when you come to the gala with the Jim's Dogwash MG.
Yes, I saw that.
That thing stands out like everything. It's a great.
That one with the paw prints all over it.
Yes.
Yeah, the red one with the
So
paw prints. It looked very good.
So that's Liz and John, and they drove that over there. And Julie Baldry's gone, awesome lady. So Julie, I presume, works with Charlene. So she's gone in. She's gone in there. And Jill Smenlensky's gone, hi from Christchurch. Jim's Dogwash New Zealand again. So Jim's Dogwash New Zealand, getting right behind this. We appreciate it. So make sure to leave a question or comment. Let us know you're here, and we'll get to some more questions which you've got left from last week, which we didn't get to because there's so many questions, which were great. Warren Birch left a comment last week, which was, why do you need to come to Melbourne for the course? I live in a different state, and for me, if I'm not working, I'm not making money. Question mark.
Yeah, we actually in the beginning we did allow local training. The problem with it is it's not as effective. Our attrition rate in our first year when we were running these local courses was something like 17%. As soon as we came to Melbourne and got a better quality course together, attrition rate dropped to around 10%. It's been there ever since. And what you're talking over the years is hundreds and hundreds of people who succeed in business who would have failed. So in a sense, if you're investing not just a great deal of money, but also your time in having a business, to spend an extra week going into state is a very small investment if it means you're only going to, you can reduce the number of people failing in their first year by at least a third.
Yeah, we had a bloke from Canada. I remember on a live show, he flew over on the clean one with Hader and Ali, Jim's in Canada, and he flew over all the way from there.
Well, it's interesting actually, when we've had even international people, we found that when we get them to come to Australia, they're more likely to succeed. So everything is about, you might think that training is just about how to mow a lawn or how to hammer a nail. In fact, there's very little about that kind of stuff. It's more about how to run a business. And we have very intensive pressures because every trainer gets rated on every session, including myself. And it's very, very...
They're not going to downrate you, though.
High pressure. So if you don't give a great course, you get a great mark and you get kicked off the roster, with the possible exception of myself, because I own the place. But still, I still do tend to do all right.
Do you think the stats are a big rig because you're the CEO of the company and your name's on it?
No, I don't think so. Sometimes Mike beats me. We have a little friendly competition going.
So Jim's ethos talk that he presents...
But it's anonymous, though. People don't know.
No, that's true.
We don't know who's made any comments. We just look at the bulk comments. So
and it is taken very seriously. I know. Yeah.
It's quite astonishing that those few days make a remarkable difference to whether people are likely to succeed. As I've often said in the past, as an independent, chances of failing in their first year, based on the best of figures, is between 90 and 95%. With us, it's closer to 11% and 10-11%. And the training that we give people is so much a part of that. It's so important.
Francesca Freda, who's gone, the training course was amazing. So that's nice, and thank you for taking the time to write that. What do you think? What was the best session for you when you come and did the training in the generic component? Because there's obviously every division has stuff posted, like it's cleaning or dog wash that do other stuff.
Well, going back a little bit, just about the training, I don't want to sound like I'm biased because I live in Melbourne, but I think it's a real benefit to have all the training here, personally, because you get that consistent approach. You know, if you have training out around the state and other countries, you'll find, like Chinese whispers, you'll miss things. The brand's been built on a process and a system that's worked to date. Why change it? Why reinvent the wheel? Come here, get the same message, great idea, and it's been working to date. So in relation to your question, Joel, you'll have to remind me again because it's gone.
Yeah, so it was with when you come to the 3 days, there's one session for me. When I do interviews with new franchisees and we progressively post on the page, I always say the book stuff was the one they take over. I always expect them to say Jim's ethos, but a lot of them don't. They say just all the book stuff and all the actual running of the business.
The bookkeeping.
Yeah, the bass statements.
Nicole's done a great job, actually.
That's the session.
She gets very good ratings.
Yes.
We haven't had such good ratings on bookkeeping in the past, but Nicole's actually fantastic.
Yeah, I'm probably on your Jim's ethos talk. I think that was a real eye opener for me. I enjoyed that for me personally when I did it. Yeah, the bookkeeping's a bit bland for me personally. I'm not a facts and figures person. I'm more than happy.
But we've actually got a new bookkeeper since she came through.
Right.
So Nicole does it. I don't think she's.
No, I don't recall Nicole. No, and the sales one I actually enjoyed too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sales one's a good session.
It's another thing about training here. It's only a fairly minor matter, but I really like the chance to speak directly to as many franchisees as possible. And I actually go and have meals with the franchisees, and I try and hop around tables and stuff. So as far as possible, I've spoken one-to-one with every franchisee in training. I always try to do that. And that's actually very useful because if a franchisee gets into trouble down the track a bit, or I have an issue with the system or anything like that, if they've met me, they're more likely to contact me. And I do find that I get a very good response when I send out an email after my first month to see how they're going. And there's lots of really, really useful things come back from that. And I can help people. So just in terms of contacting, having that kind of contact, that relationship is actually important. Because one of my biggest challenges is getting people to ring me, because I always have this idea that I'm so busy or too important or something. But nothing is more important to me than a franchisee who's got an issue.
And that ethos session that Rocky's mentioning is on YouTube. It's a podcast as well, so you can watch that in full as well. But we want you to come here, and it's a lot better in person. So Steve Walkham's gone here with the nice comment. Steve Walkham's a franchisor in the cleaning group. My initial training 16 years ago wasn't in Melbourne. It was 2 days only in Sydney and was pretty poor. All franchisees who do training in Melbourne come out of it buzzing and raring to go. So, you know, as I said, we had a guy from Canada come. So if you can come from Canada, if you're on an interstate in Australia, hopefully you can come from there. So Darcy Combe-Varal's gone, hi Jim, Joel and Rocky. Darcy, you can knock this question off real quickly for him. He goes, how many Jim's Mowing franchisees do you have in Australia? ? Jim's Mowing franchisees for you.
Just Mowing, I don't know.
I really don't know. We've got about 1,900 all up, I think.
They want 2,000 and plus. Yeah, we want 2,000 plus.
Well, over the next year, I am very confident we're going to get at least 10% growth in the mowing division.
What about you, Rocky? How many are Handyman? Do we know?
I think nationally, we're at 57. I think nationally.
Yeah. It's growing pretty quickly, though, isn't it?
Growing massive.
Yeah.
So we're expecting. We need a massive increase in our franchisees just to capture and service our customers. That's our main goal. You know, we'll do anything that it takes to get some more franchisees on the road. We've got several people out there interested right now, and they're going through the process, hopefully signing on. But one thing about the training that I will quickly add in is if you're looking at doing a franchise, it doesn't matter what division you're looking at, do the training. You don't have to wait to become a franchisee to do the training. Do the training, and you'll get a full understanding of what this company and organisation is all about.
In fact, we prefer people to do training first.
Absolutely.
Before signing, yeah.
That's the normal case. The Handyman's going very well, actually. It's been taken over. We have somebody running it now who's extraordinarily ugly, but he actually does a great job. Isn't that right, Archie?
He's right behind the camera, so no one can see him, but he is a very ugly man. I'll back him up on that one. He's just trying to pull faces and put up one of his franchisors. We won't tell you what he's doing behind the camera. He's trying to do a bit of a...
Badly needs to play a bit of squash, Archie. Is that right?
Yeah, he's carrying a bit of a rubber tire around.
Handyman division needs to grow, and it will grow, and we're committed to that, and that's the reason why
we'll definitely get to 100 franchisees.
Easily.
It's very embarrassing when you have a division knocking back so much work, because somebody tries Handyman and can't get a service. They're less likely to go for cleaning or dog wash or anything else. So we're very concerned where a division has so much surplus work to get enough franchisees to cover it.
Well, Dawn's gone for the question here: do the training and then sign up ? Well, yeah, you can do the training, but if you don't like it, you don't have to sign up.
No. Yeah. I say that the divisions range in price, obviously, depending on division. Yeah. So from a business perspective, when you're doing your due diligence process and working out if it's the right fit for you, like I said earlier, you're better off outlaying a small margin of a few $100s to make that decision. And if you don't like it, well, so be it. Why would you invest $10,000 or $20,000 and at the end of it go, this isn't for me? So you do the training first.
I actually suggest to people who are interested in going into business, come and do the training. There's no obligation at all. No. It's very economical. I mean, even including combination and airfares, it's a very, and you get very good training and you understand what business is about. And
we ran a competition so you could have dinner with Jim. Well, come to the training, you can have lunch and dinner with Jim. Yeah. You can pick his brain. So that's a good, easy way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody wanted to I know some people sometimes they want mentoring or something like that. I say, okay, I can do it on $1,000 an hour. If you're a franchisee, it's free, and if you come to training, it's free. So it's.
So how many people do $1,000 an hour? $1,000 an hour is Jim's rate.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
is that
55 to 95 for 1,000? Is that how it works?
He's scaled it up.
It's just gone up a little bit there.
He's scaled it up. We've scaled up the rate. We've gone with their early rate.
I don't do much of it, but that's what if somebody wants me to be a business mentor or a business coach, that's what I charge, $1,000 an hour.
And Derek Spice has gone here, and the food is ace. The food is great.
Yeah, it is. The only trouble you tend to eat a bit too much, so it's.
If you want to see what training looks like, go to YouTube. We have a 3-minute training montage which shows you all the facilities, and Mike Davenport talks about the training and has our boy content creators Ben and Jake done a great shot of it, and we're gonna have drone and all that sort of stuff. But it's a 3-minute clip. Just watch it, and as the guys were saying, you're under no obligation to sign before you come. We recommend you come, see what everything's about, and if you're not convinced, well. But how many people who actually come don't go ahead? Just, I don't know, out of interest as a percentage. There's not many, would there be?
Not many.
No.
Some do.
Right.
And don't progress with it. But the great majority, of course, would.
But we don't mind that because it might not be right for them, right?
No.
So why have them?
Well, I had one person that came to training quite a while back, and they were actually turned off by my ethos talk.
Really?
They actually decided not to go ahead because they said, I admire the passion you have for customer service, but it's too much. Yeah. I just couldn't perform at the level of what you're asking for. In actual fact, that was a good response.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That's exactly
really was, because they said, I'm just not at that level. I just don't believe in customer service as much as that, and I think you're too hard. Now, I believe that's important for our success, that we be very tough on customer service. That's always been the basis of everything I've achieved. But it's not for everybody, and sometimes franchisees do feel a certain amount of pressure. There's no doubt about it.
That's the result you want, though, isn't it? I mean, that's the purpose of the training, and that's and you know, hats off to the person who did that. It was actually strong enough to say that this is not for me. Customer service is our number one. Well, that's what you've built the business up from, is the great customer service. So if someone doesn't believe that they can go out of that standard, well, you know,
with the single exception, Rocky, I'd say that our number one customers are actually our franchisees, and looking after customers out in the field is a way of keeping our franchisees busy. So I'd always put it in terms of my franchisees at first. And when you've got 1 in 4 jobs on service, I mean, you're really, really, really going to try and look after franchisees, because we just need so many more.
That's it. So there's a lot of people watching, which is great. So make sure you leave us 60 people, which is awesome. We've had that steady. So leave a comment or a question or a like, and you get a little interaction with the GIF as well, which the boys have whipped up. So Jackson Langshaw's gone here, the man, the myth, the legend, Jim. Yep, he is here. You can see he's not a myth or a legend, he is real.
Yeah, I've become a bit less legendary since we started doing these things, haven't I?
Yeah, I was going to say, everyone should know there's a Jim now. So Jim's Mowing Bay of Plenty Hawke's Bay goes, I believe you can also go back and redo training as many times as you want at no additional cost, apart from accommodation and meals. Yeah, we'd love to have our franchisees back. Too few do, actually. We get franchisors tend to come back more than anybody else, and that's fantastic. Yes. When you got franchisor training and a franchisor comes back and they does it again, and they can put their experience and they can help the trainees. It's great. Franchisors in gyms have to do equivalent of 3 days full-time training a year, so sometimes they'll do that just to get their points up. But got a tough question here which come through, and in full disclosure we'll read it out, we always do. Reese Halls goes, Jim, should it cost me $60 to get my lawn mowed, but the same gym's mowing man charged my wife $100 for a yard that is 9 metres long and 3 metres wide? Question mark. So maybe a price concern here. We don't tell our franchisees what to charge for their jobs. It's really entirely a matter. I can't speak for why there was that difference in price. Maybe it was hard to get to. I don't know. I don't know why a different charge was there. But we don't set the rates at all, don't we? As we would never set the rates. The only thing we say to our franchisees, quite consistently, is that you really should be working towards, at least about $60 an hour if you're in business for yourself. Otherwise, it's pretty marginal. Now, some don't achieve that, but that's what we aim for. And you've got to quote in a way that's going to make you a decent living, because you're in business for yourself. You're not. You've got there's no social security apart from your insurance that you pay. So, you've got to make decent money. I'm not against it. If you've got a franchisee who's not converting very well, they're only getting, 4 jobs in 10, and most of our franchisees convert about 3/4 of their leads to jobs. But if you're only getting that, and a lot of clients are saying too dear, you have to look at your pricing and say, why not? But as far as I'm concerned, if you can make yourself $200 an hour, I'm great by it, because again, I'm more concerned with my franchisees ultimately than the customer, as long as you give great service. Now, if you give poor service, doesn't matter how little you charge, I'm not happy. Yeah, good one to watch is the one last week with Dan, who talked about how he prices and the value and how he explains the quote, because we don't educate him, as you said, as race to the bottom to undercut each other, and it's completely probably the opposite. So thanks for that comment, Reese, and thanks for taking the time to do it. In regards to the handyman quoting, guys, how do you educate him on quoting, or is there always probably the most difficult thing of our franchisees is the ability to learn how to quote, and it's basically just trying to make sure that the franchisee understands what they're willing to work for,
and working from that. A lot of people, when they quote, in my experience, is they quote the job and then they forget themselves. They put their wages last. And then in order to win the job, they start reducing the price to go, okay, I can do a bit better. But all that's doing is taking money directly out of their pocket because they haven't actually taken into account or factored into account their hourly rate. So I always tell my franchisees, when you're doing a quote, you put your hourly rate in first. That's your non-negotiable, and you work from that. As long as your hourly rate's realistic, which we will assist with, like Jim alluded to before. If you're not converting a lot because you're all price related, well, then obviously you're pricing yourself too high. But if a franchisee's willing to put themselves at a rate they're getting regular work for and they're converting, then there's no point in modifying that. Pay yourself first and work your job out from that.
Well, that's a matter of how you approach the client too, because if you go in to say, that's a really hard job, I'm going to have to charge you this, it makes it sound high. Yeah, look, I could do that. Yeah, I could do it for you for so and so. Sure. When would you like it? When did you want it done? You just got to, and also you've got to show the brand. You've got to actually base on the brand. We don't have to compete on price with the opposition because we're gyms, and if something goes wrong, anything goes wrong, gyms is behind it.
Correct.
And we're insured and we're police checked and all the rest of it.
You'll always be looked after.
Yes, and you should base that. And we've had people go independent from gyms, and they find it very difficult because they just simply can't get the same prices they got with us. Yep. So they're saving 8% of their turnover in fees, but they're making 20% less income because the prices aren't as good.
I just want to add to that, Reece, that every one of our franchisees, they don't work really for a corporation. They're local, small, expert business owners. They have the franchising, they have the brand, but each one of them is responsible for how they price, their quoting methods, etc. We obviously survey the customers to find out, but that's really important to point out. They're local, small businesses as well.
And we never consider overquoting as a complaint. I don't care if you're quoting 3 times the opposition. It's never, never, never a complaint. I'll even delete a bad star rating, which is based on price.
That's what
it's a price rating because we're not about being cheap.
And we have a video showing Jim doing that in the day in the life, so we're going to release that and you'll understand why.
Yeah.
But it's also why when you go, you can't, everyone always goes, how much online all the time with us? And we go, well, you have to do a quote request in the franchise. They will tell you. It's not because that we can't give you the rates. It's because that each franchise owner has their own pricing and their own rates, which they do with
That's
jobs.
Right. And if a client was to actually complain about the fact that they weren't given an hourly rate on the phone or a price on the phone, I will again delete that complaint or that bad survey because it's not a fair comment. We want our franchisees to go and give a fixed price quote and put it in writing. And if it's too high, well, that's okay.
And getting online quotes is not good. Like it's convenient for the customer, but look at the complaints with high pages, for example, that you see all the time. It's not. I know it's convenient for people. Really, you need to take the time to have the person come out and look at your thing and give you a proper quote. And that's what we do with our online quote requests. You're requesting a franchisee who's an expert local in your area to ring you up to come out and to make sure they give you the accurate quote as possible. You can't satisfy it online, even with photos don't do it justice, I would say.
Well, the Handyman and Building Maintenance had a slogan which years ago, we maintained it to a degree, and that is, it's work to a standard, not a price. And that's the fact of the matter is that's true today. You pay for what you get. Most people out there will do a relatively good job or a great job. I'm not disrespecting anyone else in the industry. However, the old driveway warranty might come into play when they go, that's it. Whereas customers got to understand the gym's peace of mind guarantee is backing every bit of our work, from the small jobs right through to the large renovations.
And it's cost you a lot of money over the years, Jim, hasn't it? You've fixed client complaints out of your own pocket.
We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars fixing problems. We had one particular franchisee who was a complete rogue. He actually went out and did a whole stack of building inspections, collected the money and didn't do the work. We're talking about, more than $10,000. Now, we've paid them all out of the warranty fund. This is ex-franchisee now, and we're going to pursue him legally. And as far as I can bankrupt him because it's the scummiest thing to do. But every single client was looked after. They either got the job they paid for or they get their money back.
That's a great question, Reece, and we really thank you for asking that one because it's prompted that discussion. Dawn Shipley's gone, what happens if you get sick? Dawn, you've got one-on-one franchise information seminar with veterans, which is great. So what happens when someone gets sick, guys? Maybe you can both answer this one.
Sickness and illness insurance, we recommend that. Unless you've got a good pile of money behind you, substantial savings, you really should cover yourself with insurance. And Jim's Insurance offers it. It's not expensive.
Suspension as well of the franchise.
Yeah, you can suspend the franchise, so your fees stop, but you've got to leave in the meantime. So it's not a lot of money to actually cover yourself. And because we've got nearly 4,000 franchisees, we negotiate some pretty good deals.
Yeah, it's a great question. So in Cooper Hogarth's key, he's gone legend mate. Good way to start a sentence. But gotta ask, how many different gyms things are there? So I presume services or divisions. What are we at now?
54, I think, something like that.
Head to gyms.net, go services, and they're all little icons, and you can play around. They're all there.
54.
Now I'm going to go for a question that was asked last week. Now this is a franchisee. It's a pretty tough question, all right? I'm going to ask it because we're transparent, authentic. I haven't filtered this, and I haven't showed this to Jim. He left it on multiple pages and really wanted to answer it. I didn't see it. Yeah. So Brett Turner, I think he's from fencing or one of those divisions. Let us know, Brett. What can franchisees do if the franchisor keeps selling franchises in an area that can't sustain the existing franchisees?
If he's fencing, that will be ridiculous because there's no such thing. I
think he's fencing, but Brett, if I'm wrong, please correct me. I think you're fencing, but
Brett, if you're a franchisee, send me an email and talk to me about it. But I don't believe that's actually the case. And when you say it can't sustain it, the point of it is too, when we put a franchisee on board, we're not assuming that every job you get is going to come from us. There's a lot of different ways. And I give a talk on the Wednesday afternoon training, if you remember that one, where I talk about all the different things you can do, looking for upsells, referrals, just saying other people in the street, going shopping with your uniform on and getting people to come up to you and ask you for work. There's so many different ways, building connections with other divisions, forming a network within gyms. There's so many different ways to find work. I don't think there's any division where most people aren't making good or satisfactory income. I'm quite sure about that. So it's not just a matter of sitting back and waiting for the phone to go off. And if that's what you do, then it could be an issue, especially in the down period. You've got to know how to do this thing properly. And you've got your franchisor who can show you how to do it, and you're welcome to contact me, and I will go through it with you, and I'll talk about the things that I've done. I don't know anything about you personally, but I do know that franchisees who give great customer service are very, very unlikely to report poor income after the first few weeks. It's just a statistic, and we know that from our surveys and so forth. So the better your customer service, the more you're going to make. Yeah. We haven't actually got anywhere near saturation anywhere. But if you've got a specific situation, you email me and I'll go through it and I'll look at it. It may be, for example, that you're not taking certain services. It may be that you're not covering areas where there's work available. It may be a customer service issue. There may be all kinds of reasons why you haven't got enough work. But having too many franchisees, there's not one division, with the possible exception of painting during the winter, where work is really stopping us putting more franchisees on. Or actually, no, skip-in's another one too. So sometimes when there genuinely isn't enough lead, we will call a halt to it.
Yeah. So thanks for that question, Brett.
Very, very unusual.
Yeah, you left that question in a few places last week, so hopefully you do watch this and someone can tell him.
Is a franchisee?
He's a franchisee. Yeah, I did check him on FMS. Yeah.
Contact me. Yeah. Just send me what division.
I think he's fencing. I think.
I find that really, really hard to believe. Yeah. Fencing is about 60% unserviced right now. It's a horror. Please contact me, email me, jim@gyms.net, and I'll go through with your FMS in front of me. So I'll have a look at what you are and what you're doing, and I'll help you with that. I'm very happy to do that with any franchisee whatsoever. You've got an issue. In fact, the course I give on the Wednesday afternoon, which is about an hour and a half talk, that comes out of conversations that I've had with franchisees over the years. And so does the section in the manual. I'm very happy to help you with that.
Thanks for that question, Brett, and hopefully you watched that. So you, Reno's got a question for Rocky. As a franchisor, is your aim to get off the tools and manage your business from an office, or to keep getting your hands dirty as a working franchisor? Very targeted question.
Who's that from, sorry?
From you, Reno.
I personally, I think I'll always be active in some way, shape or form. I don't think I'll ever be 100% office focused. But the long-term goal, or short to medium-term goal, realistically, is to basically double the amount of franchisees I've got in my region.
How many you got now?
9.
Okay.
And you won, what award did you win this year? Because I know you won, was it a diamond?
Diamond award.
Which is great.
That is fantastic. That is
great.
Congratulations again. I know I've said it to you before, but that's wonderful.
So that's the first goal, yeah, and focus more on obviously ensuring that my franchisees have got all the support that they need. I mean, that's my role. It's not just being a franchisor; it's supporting my franchisees and doing all their advertising and making sure that they're travelling well and assisting them with quoting. I've been doing that quite a lot of late. So in long term, yes, I'd love to be off the tools 100%, but I don't think I'd want to do that. I'd want at least one day on the tools.
Yeah.
Until you got about 20 franchisees, you really can't make a decent living out of being a franchisor. By the time you get about 50, which is what we'd like you to have one day, that's getting to the stage where it'd be very difficult to be anything but a franchisor.
It'll be a good problem to have.
So I've got a great question here for you, Jim, and Rocky can answer this. This is a good one. We haven't had this one before. And Matt's a franchisee. I think it's Matt from Jim's Mowing. What happens if you become a Jim's Mowing franchise? This could be for any division. And you have a hire pages or service-seeking subscription. Can you continue to take work from other sources until the contract expires? Question mark, Matt. It's a great question. We haven't had that
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we've got no problem with you taking work from any source that you wish. Not a lot of our guys take work from high pages simply because you're competing against a whole lot of other people for the cheapest price, and that's very demoralising. Whereas with the gyms, you only get the one quote, and most of the time they'll accept you. So it's possible, and we don't mind you doing it. You can even set your own advertising up as long as you don't use the gym's brand in advertising and use your own phone number. Some franchisees do it, most don't for the same reason. It's just not that effective.
So you can do it, Matt. So if you're thinking about coming to training or on the edge, please take advantage of coming to training. Jim's Pool Care franchise page has gone, hey everyone, congrats on your support award, Rocky, which is nice. So thanks for that, Jim's Pool Care.
For those who don't know it, a diamond award means that you look after your franchisees really, really well and they love you a lot.
I'm fortunate to have a great group of franchisees. Hello, everyone.
And a divisional as well.
Yeah, at the divisional, he's
He's okay sometimes. All right, so I'm going to get through another question that was left last week from Jim's Memeing. I love the Jim's Memeing man, Matt. He runs Jim's Memeing in the Jim's Lawn Posting group, which is I think 22,000 plus followers and 10,000 members. Jim's Lawn Posting. I don't know if you're a member of it, where they basically go around and spot gyms in the wild. So Jim's Plumbing, they'll take a photo and spot, it'll get 100 likes, or they'll do a test and tag, and they'll be working at their office and they see a test and tag and they spot the tag and they'll send it. They do a great work to us. So Jim's Memeing's gone. Is Jim's Group primary source of revenue selling franchises, or are there other methods like taking a percentage of a franchisee's income?
We do make some money from the sale of franchises, but overwhelmingly it's the ongoing fees that count.
But it's not income based, is it? It's flat fee.
It's a flat fee. Well, franchisees pay a flat fee plus a lead fee, and we get a percentage of that from the franchisor. It's actually, if anything, well, franchisors have a lot of freedom to set the price to franchises, but we always recommend that you set your price at a very modest level, enough to cover paperwork guarantee, enough to get extra advertising done, give plentiful support, but not too much up front, because the real benefit is ongoing fees. It's having happy franchisees paying fees month after month, year after year, that your success is there. And people who try and sell franchises too dear and try and make money from that don't tend to sell very many at all.
Yeah. So what's your average cost for Handyman as a division to get into? What's the rough cost for people maybe with the Handyman one?
20 to 25, depending on whereabouts you're looking at. I know interstate might be a little bit more because they've got the travel component to take into account.
Yeah.
But for Melbourne East region, which is the one that I own, we're 15,000 we're trying to get.
Oh, great! Because you just got much work you need to get.
We need to service our customers. Yeah.
And we had a question last week as well regarding.
Sorry, I would say price of franchise does depend too on the availability of work. If there's plentiful work, we tend to take the price down as you do. If the work was very quiet and you need to spend a lot of extra time and effort and money to get it, to keep your people busy, then obviously you're going to charge a bit more.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is also inquire 131546 in the regional franchise, or we'll have different things they can tell you. So David Mullane left last week. This is a great question because Rocky, you can tell specific and Jim can tell us as well. How much do you charge for a lead? That was an open question. How much?
Well, I can speak for Handyman.
Yeah. Handyman,
well, there's about 3 different leads. So $14.88 is the minimum. Up to $25 is the maximum, and that would be dependent on the size of job. So a kitchen or a bathroom renovation would be at the $25 mark. But with the leads, a lot of people think that they pay that all the time. I will quickly clarify, it's only for new work. So if Mrs. Smith calls you up and wants a job done, whether it be mowing or whatever, once you've serviced Mrs. Smith's job, that customer, as long as the customer does not move house and everything matches up, it's your customer. You don't pay ongoing work for that. So you're only paying lead fees for new work. And we're pushing our franchisees across all divisions to, try and sell themselves up and do their own marketing and keeping in touch with their own customer base, so they get that referral work because it's yours.
That's very cheap. Like, let's say, for example, it's a regular house clean or pool care sort of stuff or mowing. That client could be a 10 grand client or something like that. You're only paying,
or 100 grand plus.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the other hand, of course, you can pay your money and not get the job at all, which is going to happen sometimes.
That can happen. That's right.
Well, in fact, it should happen.
We charge
because if you're getting all your quotes, you're too cheap.
Oh, that's right. Well, we only charge our franchisees 85% in Handyman, 85% of their lead fees. They get a lead fee discount, and that's to take into account, help them out with the leads that don't come ahead, or the customers that call up the call centre and then just disappear off the face of the earth, which unfortunately happens sometimes, and helps them out with the leads that they miss, because we don't want them to get every lead. Absolutely, if they do, you're right, they're too low.
Another question from last week, which is great because we've got two experts who can answer this for us, which is how long does the guarantee for the $1,500 pay for work last? That will pay for work guarantee last? Is it for the first 3 months only?
Oh no. It depends a lot on the division, but the normal thing is that it goes until you keep on knocking back work. If there's 8 weeks, you're basically saying no work, no more leads, then it kind of expires. In some divisions, there's a certain number of leads. I don't know what you do.
Handyman's 140 leads or 6 months.
Yeah.
But it's also depending on...
Sorry, which is that the greater or the lesser of the two?
6 months is the greater of the two. 140 leads. You hope that a franchisee is... if a franchisee's taken 140 leads in the first 3 months, firstly, I don't know how they would have quoted that many, but secondly, you'd expect them to be well and truly on their way. But there's a few things. We're happy to extend the pay for work guarantee if someone wants that as a bit of added security when they look at buying the franchise. But one thing I always tell all the franchisees is you have to be willing to maintain yourself available for work. The pay for work guarantee isn't going to support anyone that wants to join Handyman and just work in their local territory, for argument's sake, their suburb that they've purchased, and not want to travel out, broaden out their work areas for 5, 10, 20 kilometres. You've got to be available.
It's actually fairly unusual for anybody to claim after the first few months.
Haven't used it to date, touch wood, and I don't think we will.
No, well, your division especially. So, I mean, frankly, I don't even know why we put those kinds of distinctions on. I think the Mowing division, that doesn't have any number of leads. It just says until you keep on knocking back work, you can have it. It's I can't even think of the last time a franchisor told me they paid as much as $2,000. Because the thing about pay for work guarantee, it's income is part of it, and you will make your $1,500 per week. But the main benefit is that when you go out and do freebies, you get more work. You get referrals, you get upsells, you get neighbours, you get all kinds of things happening, and it tends to build the business very, very fast. I know that because when I write my 1 month email, I always ask about that specifically, and the great majority say they just don't need it. They've got the income there, or sometimes they do a few freebies just to get going in the first month. Very, very rarely goes beyond that.
It's a great interview of Sharon Connell. She actually goes into right depth, but she loves it because you're getting paid to promote your business, to provide value. Whereas if you're doing it as an independent, no one's going to pay you to do that.
No,
you're getting paid to go and promote your business.
But the great thing is it's an encouragement to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And we challenge people pretty hard. In fact, one thing I say to people in training, I say, if you're not prepared to go and do freebies, if you need to, then do not sign this contract. And I get them to put up their hands. I said, would you commit to this? If you need it, will you go for it? Because one thing that really, really upsets me is somebody who comes in and fails because they're not prepared to do what's necessary. And it's not hard to give it away. Just recently, a couple of franchisees have approached me. They've had trouble finding work. And in both cases, what I did is introduce them to the local franchise from other divisions. And in every case, the franchisor said, yeah, come to my meetings. Yeah, I'd love to help you out. You can do free cleans or free mows or whatever it is for us. And there's always ways of finding more work.
Yeah, I think it's a really unique part of our system. People think it's just a cash payment, right? But have you ever pay for work claim?
No, he said he's never done it.
Never done it. So, it's something that we obviously promote heavily, but hardly any franchisors do have to do it because the work's so much there.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. There's a few in the first month that do.
Okay.
But those who do it tend to come off fairly much. Yeah. So it's usually only a few $100s. I think the most I know recently, somebody paid a couple of thousand. It's quite a minor, and you'd always advise the franchisor to leave a little bit out of the sale just on the one side, so they can pay if they need to.
Now we know how much you love the council, Jim. I just want to get this one into you. He's gone. Nicholas Walton's gone. Jim, what is your opinion on council rates going up despite house prices falling?
Well, I don't know which council you're talking about. If the council does their job well, I think that they probably deserve to get paid. But and I want to say I have a lot of angst about our local council, but I know that there are councils in Melbourne and Brest who are fantastic, and they've got a lot of really great people who look after local residents.
But not this one.
Yeah. I think it's a matter of whether you do your job well. If you're doing your job well and you're maintaining the roads and you're looking after local facilities, you deserve to get paid for it. But if you're sitting back doing stuff all, except running left-wing greeny campaigns against toxic masculinity, and that things as your total obligation, I think any rates at all are too much.
Yeah, that's my.
I thank those who've actually approached the local council for me, complaining they wouldn't let us put our gym up, and some useless functionary from the council got up and actually tried to pretend that it was us that wouldn't. The big problem, as I said before, is the fact that we have to take some trees out for the fire, but they're saying, oh, that's against green conservation, and so they wouldn't make a decision. And they actually had the cheek to say that you want to retain the trees. And I said, no, I don't. We've planted 1,000 trees. I don't mind taking 3 trees away to reduce the fire risk. It's you guys that are doing this, not me. Oh, it made me so mad.
So the council did.
I started yelling at her, actually. She said, you've got to keep on yelling, I'll hang up.
So the harassment from people to the council did work. They did do a couple of big comments.
Well, it didn't work. She just rang up and seemed to think she'd solved the whole problem for me by just simply saying, oh, it's all your fault.
Yeah, they did make it out to be like our fault, but as you said, you got pretty animated with her. And
oh, jeepers creepers! You know, people, I hate this council. You just talk about Yarra Ranges Shire and the venom, the hatred. I have never known any level of government, federal anything, that's ever had the same level of hatred as our local Yarra Ranges Council. Oh, they're horrible.
Handyman love working for Yarra Ranges Council. So
they don't endorse these comments.
Don't endorse these comments.
Okay. Like this video if you've got a problem with your council, or give them a shout out saying actually they're alright. So
you love them, but you never try to get permits off them.
Well, they grant our customers permits, so thank you very much, Yarra Rangers.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully no one's watching. Someone here's going, Jim's Mobile Cafe, Jim for Mayor. What about Mayor, Jim? You said, we always say ask him for Parliament. What about Mayor of Melbourne?
King of Moomba.
Not Melbourne, no. They local.
What about local council?
King of Moomba.
King of Moomba, yeah, one year.
Oh, I don't know. I got so much on my plate.
Tell you what, you'd shake him up, I reckon, at those council meetings.
You'd have to have a decent. If you had a majority, there are some good councillors. They're just powerless against the cretins that run this thing. Sorry, but. Who just don't believe in customer service in any way. You know, these are peons, the bloody ratepayers. They have to pay us, and we can do what we jolly well like.
The Jim's Handyman does not endorse that message. Just pointing it out. Keep the work coming through. You've heard the customer service, so keep the work coming through. But someone here's gone, not Mayor, Jim for PM. Yes, Liz, Jim for PM. I'd love to see Jim doing PM for one day.
Oh, that's a different thing.
How do you reckon you would go, Jim?
No, they're going to get kicked out straight away. I tell what I think. I'm not a politician.
You reckon the whip would kick you out? I'll tell you, Mr. Penman from the seat or wherever, just go.
They'd never elect me, that's for sure. Politician is a matter of saying different things to different people and hedging your bet. I mean, look, it's a skill of its own. And I respect people who are good at that. I don't hate all politicians.
I'm telling you now, Jim's party would go all right, because there's a Jim's lobbying Facebook group. That's got like 20,000 plus people on it. Jim's lobbying does, and they use the thing.
Sometimes it frustrates me. I do think that the whole political system is, you know, because I'm part of an organisation that we deal with people who actually go do the physical work. The whole political system seems to be benefiting those who've got degrees or who've got connections or who've got, you know, things like pharmacy licenses, which actually reduce competition and reduce service, and it's all done to protect the pharmacy owners. Or the taxi system, which tries to restrict the number of people who drive taxis. And I know Uber's having a go at that, but it's $1 billion company to take them on. or having more and more qualifications needed to do the most basic jobs, so that it favours people with degrees, and that's why people can't find work. It's a whole system that's very much, government by the elites for the elites, and that makes me very upset. And the way that they push the price of, because they give permits to put enough houses to be built, it forces up the price of housing, so people can't afford to buy houses, so they're forced to rent, and their whole lives, some people, and it's not necessary. If you just allow more housing development, then housing prices will actually be moderate, and people could afford to buy a house, and they could afford to live somewhere. And it mightn't suit people who are property developers who want to build up massive, I don't know. I just think there's so many ways in which the government hurts the interests of ordinary people, and I'd love to do something about it, but I really don't have the time.
There's the campaign pitch right there, and as we said, Jim's Handyman does not endorse the Council having a go at. They give a lot of work, so keep giving the guy there. Then Ben's put a nice little picture of Jim there. Vote Jim with the Obama for change. They put their Jim, so it's a good Photoshop. I want to ask this quick question here, because this relates to what you said. Do you find apps such as Airtasker and Service Seeking a threat to the brand as being too expensive? From Jared Bywaters, who's a franchisee.
Look, certainly we take these seriously. I mean, we're a relatively small company. We're up against multi-billion-dollar corporations with very deep pockets. And we do take them seriously, but the one thing that we can do that they can't do is service quality. I mean, and you look at the responses people have to those kinds of services, they're pretty poor. They really are. And that's what we get all the time. People want to use us because we're good. The biggest negative is that we just don't have enough people. We have to knock back so much work. But if we keep on giving great service, in actual fact, if we keep on improving our service level, I don't think anybody can beat us with those kinds of organisations, because they just don't have what we have.
I'll just tell you about that, Jared, just to further on Jim's points, because I hear this stuff, and from our side, they get a lot of seed funding, and where that seed funding tends to go is to be in the digital platforms. So more landing pages, more digital marketing, more PPC to get you to download their app, the app. Then after that, you can't get onto anyone, or there's no aftercare support. They go, nah, we're just a facilitator of that transaction. You've got to deal with the tradie by yourself. And if something goes wrong, that's it. So they tend to put their money into the marketing off it, the brandings, for example. I'll spend hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on that to get you into it. Then once you're into it, maybe get you once, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas with Jimmy's customer service on the back end is what our best form of marketing is, isn't it?
Well, our advertising's tended to drop over the years because of the fact that our reputation is such that we get so many more clients from one of the most most common reasons is people calling us when we ask the source of leads is knows Jim. They just know us. They've had reputation. They've used us. They know somebody's used us. Reputation is good. And if we could actually get rid of the small minority of problems with then I reckon we could double, honestly.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Rocky?
You've got to respect your competition and things like that. Yeah. And I think that the model that Airtasker and Hipages and that uses, it works for them and it's great. I don't see it as an issue from us because, like I said earlier, we work to a standard, not a price. And yes, they will get a cheap price on those platforms, no doubt about it. But what I encourage customers, and I had a conversation with a customer only last week about when she complained about a franchisee's price being so high compared to, and she referred to Airtasker. Now, all I asked the customer was, if she wanted to go ahead with Airtasker, great, all the best, we hope it's great for you. But I did say to the customer, don't be afraid to ask for the Handyman's insurance details, what warranty they provide, their experience, their branding, their appearance. Have a look at the whole thing, because
what does the warranty mean anyway? I mean, if it's a sole trader, you're not going to be able to pursue them legally. This stuff's not going to happen.
No. So once I explained that to her, obviously I don't know whether she'd continue with Airtasker or not. It's still in the early days, but if she does, great, and I hope her job turns out fine. But just by asking those simple questions, it shows that we're a brand that's going to support and back up what we do, and that's what we do.
We don't aim to own the market. We don't aim to be 100% of the service, because there are some people who always want a cheap price, and let them go to the Airtasker and Hipages and God bless them. I'm not any problem with that. But there are people out there, and I actually probably think it's the majority, who said, I don't mind paying an extra 10%, but I want the job done properly, and I want to know it's looked after. I want somebody's going to ring me back, someone's going to turn up, so I don't have to wait around all day. There's a substantial market at that level which we can't remotely meet at present time.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to focus on. So my view of all these things is our aim is to just get better and better and better and better with better and better technology, better and better systems, better and better franchisees, and we can see their level of complaints going down, and the work keeps on rising all the time. And as long as we keep that going, then in the end we're going to be highly successful. Don't need to be $1 billion company. I just need my franchisees to make good money.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jared. And as a franchisee, it's a very relevant question. Simon Ward's got a ripping hoodie, and Mick O'Reilly's got a nice hoodie. Joel, Mick O'Reilly's a franchisor. Spent a lot of time with Mick during conference week. He's a good man. This is Swinburne Football Club. I'm going to give him a shout out. So this is a soccer club that I played for around 10 years. I was known as a hard man, Rocky. Can you believe that? I was a hard man central defensive midfielder. Yeah. So wasn't very technical, but I could take blokes out in the air. And so we'll give them a shout out. Okay, so
and now look at you, a virtual cripple. We can't even get to play squash with you.
That's what's such a hard man, Jim. Knee injuries, everything. I can't play squash with you. I want to play squash with you, but I've watched you today. I'll tell you what. I have never watched you play, but you are good. I know that guy is a good player, but you are generally a good player. I'm not just telling that because you're my boss, but he is good. Have you given him a game, Rocky?
No, I haven't played him yet. No.
He's a good player, and it's a good workout. You were sweating. You were getting the sweat up after half an hour. You're pretty.
Well, it was tiring enough. Yeah, playing the fifth is great. It's great fun.
We've got some slow motion shots of Jim's forehand, so you can check the form and his backhand.
Just to put that in perspective, in terms of this local club which we're part of, I am below average. All right, there are people so much better than me, you wouldn't believe it. It's just compared with the people in this office, I'm actually not too bad.
He's just downplaying. He's just pull sharking you to get you in, and then he's going to go whack. Okay, so make sure this Saturday and Sunday, if you're in Melbourne and you want to meet Jim, the franchising expo at the Melbourne Exhibition and Convention Centre, 1 o'clock, he's talking on Saturday and Sunday. The ticket is free. If you go on the Jim's Facebook page, scroll down, Antennas and Security provide us with a free ticket code. Jim's Mowing will also be there, but get there and Jim will sign his book for you. This one as well.
They actually gave us a free stand too, because they said if you don't give us a free stand, I'm not going to go and talk. So that's
exactly right. Well, that's it. Use your leverage. $1,000 rate, $1,000 an hour rate. Yeah. So he's doing half an hour. So don't miss him. If you ever wanted to meet the franchising legend, get down there and take a selfie with him and post it to social media. Jim's group. Remember, we've got a podcast called the Jim's Cast. Our social media accounts, the Jim Penman. We follow him around today. He has the day in the life. So Haydar enjoyed that, which was great. So that content's there in the Jim's group on all Instagram, Twitters, all that sort of stuff. And thank you, Rocky, for doing this on late notice. So Jim's Handyman, people want to find out about you, just call 131546 or is it .net.au or .com.au? Jim'sHandyman.com.au, and you've got a Facebook page as well, Jim's Handyman Melbourne East, and there's also an Instagram, and there's also Jim's Handyman as well. And appreciate you hanging around and putting up with us today, following you from 7 a.m, Jim, and letting us in. Now, before we go, the books. All right, now I wrote down a couple of people. So which question or comment did you like for the book?
The one I liked was the question about putting people on when is there enough work?
Brett Turner. All right.
Brett Turner. I reckon Brett. All right. And Brett, just tell me which book you like. You obviously got this one here, but if you'd like one of those two books, you just tell us what you want, and I'll send you a copy.
So what about you, Rocky?
Was it Jared?
Yep.
I like his question.
Yep, Jared. Oh, that's pretty cool. Jared's gone, since the increase in Facebook and Instagram content of Jim, have you noticed an increase in leads? Bit hard to say because there's no direct trackers on it, but we are getting an increase in sales and interest in the division and Jim's brand, so that's the one thing we are. But Jared, we got your book because that's the one Rocky picked down. So let us know what book you want, Jared. I would say you presume you got that one as well. Now I'm going to give my one. I was going to give it to Reese. I like Reese Hall's question because what it prompted, but I'm going to give it to Dawn. Dawn put around 6 questions today. It was a great one-on-one virtual info pack. We'll call it for you, Dawn. So hopefully you come to training and just take a bit of action. But we'll send you a book, Dawn. It'll probably be this one. So I'll give you this one, and hopefully that gets you to come to training. So thanks for tuning in. Now, we appreciate it. So we'll be back on again next week, Wednesday at 7 o'clock, same time. Don't know who we'll have on, so tune in to make sure you see. Lots of great interaction on the feed tonight. We had around 60 people constantly watching the whole time, which was awesome, leaving comments and questions on the other feed as well. Thanks to Jake and Ben as well for the setup and making sure that everything ran smoothly. We didn't have an interruption this week, which was great. Sometimes Facebook plays around, and thanks for hanging around, Jim. I know we'd be a bit tired, and you got dinner now, and thanks for doing this, and thanks, Rocky, again.
Welcome.
Until next week, have a great time, and hopefully see you next week, same time.
All right.
See you guys.